Hi, my name is Manjeet. Today I'm going to give presentation on the unit Gdece 105, and the topic of my presentation is advocating for children's rights and the public good. In this presentation, I will talk about Article 23 and the history and present. I will also talk about objectives of Article 23 and link them with EYLF. I will talk about breach of rights under Article 23 and the impact of breach of rights, and what are the responsibilities of teachers to promote inclusion, and what are the center's responsibilities to promote inclusion, and finally references. According to the Conventions on the Rights of the Child 2022, Article 23 states that children who have any kind of disabilities should receive special care and support so that they can live a full and independent life. So, in the past, like according to Lansdowne 2022, like for many years, people with disability, including children, have fought for recognition of their equal rights. Even while equal civil rights or equal civil and political rights were proclaimed in United Nations statements in the 1970s, it was not until the convention's adoption in 1989 that a mention of disability rights was legally included in a human rights territory. Or even in the past, children with disabilities, like they didn't have any special rights, they were sent to some special schools for educations of like they didn't have any permission to go to mainstream schools, like the schools where they can study with those children who don't have any disability. But nowadays, after a lot of struggle, nowadays people with like with disability or children with disabilities have equal rights. Like they have special rights and they have permission to go to mainstream. Like they can study with those children who don't have any disability. Like they can study with them together. According to Gupta and Arora 2020, the Global Report on Disability states that 15% of world's population, or about 1 million people, live with a disability, and the majority of those people live in developing nations. According to Australian Institute of Health and Welfare 2022, around 4.4 million people in Australia, or even 1 in 6 people in Australia, have disability, and around 1.4 million people of Australian population have serious or severe disability. So as I already mentioned, nowadays children have like children who have disability have special rights, like they can go to the mainstream, they have equal access to other services as well. Any kind of breach to children these rights lead to severe or serious punishment. So now I'm going to talk about objectives of Article 23. According to Lansdowne 2022, a child who has physical or intellectual disability should live a respectable life in settings that uphold their dignity, encourage self-reliance, and enable them to actively participate in their community. So it means the main motive of this article is to make children self-reliant or independent. And next is to acknowledge children's entitlement to special services made necessary by their impairment. If children like need any special services because of their impairment, because of their disability, like it's their right to provide that services, whether it's related to physical disability or some or even intellectual disability as well. And next one is to make sure that, that children with disabilities have equal access to education, healthcare, rehabilitation, employment, and recreation, free of charge, subject to the financial resources of parents to enable them to achieve the fullest possible integration and development. And finally, to encourage global or international cooperation. Uh, Now I'm gonna link these rights with EYLF. So this article or Article 23 linked with outcome 1 and outcome 2. Outcome 1, children have a strong sense of identity. It's like educators' responsibilities to use effective routines to help make predicted transition smoothly, like transition of children smoothly, I would say. And children feel respected and recognized for who they are. It's responsibilities of educators or teachers to treat children in such manners that children feel respected, they feel recognized, and they feel proud of whatever they are. And second is outcome two. Children are connected with and contribute to their world. Children can contribute to fair decision making about matters that affect them. They have this right, like they can like contribute to fair decision making, like especially those matters that affect them. They have right to speak up rather than being passive like listeners or passive participants. They have right to be an active participant. And next one is breach of rights under Article 23. Children's rights can be breached in various ways. First of all, not providing enough staff in early childhood centers, especially those rooms who have children with disabilities. During my placements, I noticed that in some rooms who had children with disabilities, they don't have enough staff. So it's kind of a breach of children's right. So obviously, when like rooms don't have or even mentors don't have enough staff, children might be ignored or neglected to some extent. And second one is lack of proper infrastructure. If centers don't have ramps for children who have physical disability, it's like again a kind of breach of children's right. The next one is lack of emotional support of parents, caregiver, and educators. If children don't get any emotional support from any of them, it means they are neglected or they are ignored. And next one is delay in the assessment of children's situation. If children have any developmental delay or any other kind of disability, and if their assessment is not on time, if their assessment is taking a lot of time, it means their rights are again breached to some extent. And finally, discrimination on the basis of disabilities. That is, I think, the main, or this is, again, a kind of breach of children's right. There might be various kinds of impact on children if their rights are breached. First of all, if children's rights are breached, like if they are neglected or ignored, they might feel isolated or lonely. That can lead to anxiety and depression, or even it can lead to poor confidence as well. Like if their children's rights are neglected, maybe it might have a great impact on children's confidence as well. They might not get enough courage to speak up, and it can lead to lack of trust on parents or even on educators as well. So now I'm going to talk about teachers' responsibilities to promote inclusion in early childhood settings. First of all, it's teachers' responsibilities to gather relevant information about children. So teachers should collect all the relevant information about children's needs, their strengths and interests, especially children who have disability, so that they can plan activities accordingly. So if children have any physical disabilities, rather than organizing football or basketball, such kind of games, teachers can plan something else for them so that children can feel part of that activity rather than feeling excluded. And second one is reading books about inclusion. Educators should read books about inclusion, like such as same but different, we are same, all are welcome and lovely. Reading these kinds of books can help children to feel the part of early childhood setting. And next one is teachers' reflection. As part of quality improvement, teachers should reflect on how inclusive their philosophies and their practices are. So it's really important for teachers to reflect back on their practices so that they can see that whether like whatever activities they plan or whatever procedures or practices they used, whether they were inclusive or not. If they were not, they can make some changes in the future so that all children can participate actively in those activities. And lastly, practice practical skills. Educators should encourage children to practice or participate practical skills with their friends in real world scenario. And now centers role to promote inclusion. First of all, centers can provide training to early childhood educators so that they can meet the needs of children individually. And second one, kindergarten programs should be modified according to the needs of children. If centers have children with special needs, then they should change their kindergarten programs according to their needs. The next one is infrastructure modification. Early childhood centers should support children by making some changes or modification in their infrastructure or in their buildings, like they can make some ramps or rails to accommodate children who have physical disability. And apart from that, early childhood centers can provide extra staff to those rooms who have children with special needs, so that every child's need can be met. And lastly, financial support to families. Educators should connect families with like families who have children with disability with NDIS and other bodies who can financially support families, like if they are struggling. So by getting financial assistance from these bodies, they can fulfill the needs of their children who have special needs. And finally, references are here. If anybody has any question, let me ask. I'm more than happy to answer. Thank you so much for listening my presentation. Thank you.